Hello, listeners. It's Seamus here. We hope you're enjoying the. Hello, listeners. It's Seamus. Hello, listeners. It's Seamus here. We hope you're enjoying.
Hello, everybody. I'm Seamus,
and I'm Barry,
and welcome to the Design and Podcast.
We're going to be talking about UI and UX design, graphic design, branding, career tips, and the business of design. Enjoy!
Is he in?
Hey!
My man!
Why are you always late to these meetings?
Fuck off.
Ridiculous. This is not on.
10 past 12. I actually wrote it down going, we'll meet at 12, but I'll see him at 10 past. I can't see you.
Oh, can you not? Hang on.
Where's your ugly face with all the snot coming down it?
What, mate? My ugly
Oh,
face.
he's back. Ugh, never mind. Turn it off.
So, how's it going?
Doing all right? Are you recording?
Yeah. I don't know if I should start again, though.
Nah, keep it going. Keep it going.
I'm gone.
Welcome back to the latest episode of the Design and Podcast with me, Seamus. What? And you?
Baza.
AKA Bazza. Oh man. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. It's been an okay week. How's yours been?
Yeah, not bad. The worst thing happened to me today. My desk has a slight kink to it, and now it's... I don't know if you can hear that.
What is it?
It's creaking. Just when you put your elbow on it.
I can see it wobbling.
Oh my god. That happened to me this morning, so I'm going to kill someone.
That's infuriating. You're going to have to go and work from the office.
Yay. I love working from my bedroom, my bed.
Look of joy. Yeah. So I've made a note today that, well, I've just hidden all of my pens because the last two episodes, I think I've just been clicking pens.
Oh, you're such a click. You're the biggest click I've ever met.
It's when I'm in my flow, you know. I just love clicking a pen.
And try editing it out.
One of our friends actually messaged me to say, like, stop clicking pens on your podcast. So
I was subtle and I did ask you, going, Barry, are you like searching something on your computer? Is it a mouse? And you're like, no. Okay, I'll leave it. Maybe you'll pick up on it.
Just my thinking click.
So your friend, that was the one person that listened to the episode. That's great.
Yeah. One person.
I'm joking. We're flying, and we got loads of love coming in last week for Ken Garland.
Yeah.
Loads of stories. I heard a couple of stories, people chatting to me about him.
Cool.
Some inspirational stuff they've had and some nice stories about him, so it's good to hear.
Oh, lovely.
Yay.
Good stuff.
Good design and people.
Yeah. Every week.
Tell me about these Oculus. What's the update? I've been busting to hear all about you guys getting the Oculus in and having meetings with it, and explain to the folks what an Oculus is.
Oh, it's a virtual reality headset built by Meta. How many times are we going to talk about the Oculus on this bloody podcast?
Explain to the folks what Meta is.
Oh, the smirk on your face.
Design and
smirk. So it's a virtual reality headset, basically, bought out by Facebook, who are now Meta, and you can have virtual meetings, you can run your virtual office space, and so far it's completely counterproductive.
Have you guys been playing virtual ping pong?
We attempted to play a game last week. I think it's called Echo VR. It's a game that I played before, so I spent most of the time waiting in the lobby for the rest of the guys to join the game because they had to go through like loads of tutorials and stuff. And then by the time they arrived in the lobby to play the game, I was like, I gotta go now.
I got a life here.
So yeah, we're gonna have another meeting this week. But I think it's not been great for meetings, although it's really impressive. I can literally operate my virtual reality computer as I would in the physical world in virtual reality. It's cool. It'd be cool to watch a film together. Like I can just share my screen and we could watch films together in virtual reality and interact and stuff. I think the perk so far is actually just playing games together, like as remote colleagues. as a bonding exercise.
Oh, so there's no briefing or feedback
No,
meetings.
no, I still think it's more efficient doing that on just a normal video call, and like going through Figma together.
Ooh, you just debunked the Oculus.
For now, at least. It's all in beta anyway, so let's see how it evolves.
Well, can we talk about meetings? Do you? I'm sure you guys have briefing meetings all the time with your team, and you have feedback meetings from the client.
Yeah.
What about weekly scheduling, weekly update meetings? Do you ever do them?
Yeah, every Monday we have a team call. We go through all the accounts. Is that what you mean? We
Yeah,
go through all the accounts, we discuss if there's any blockers, and then from that, it kind of sets the tone for the week. I'll talk about which business I'm going after, which business is likely to come in. We can discuss availability of the team, and just go from there, really.
I'm
What
sure
about
it's not.
you? How do you work? I'm sure the company that you work with, there must be lots of meetings like that.
It's mostly all department meetings we have, and we all get together and meet in our own
Mm.
departments, which is exactly what a department meeting is. Don't know why I had to explain it. But all the other agencies of places I've worked at, there is weekly meetings. We usually have on a Tuesday afternoon, or you have it on a Monday morning and a Friday morning. You
Yeah.
know, have and I really enjoyed those weekly meetings. But we've got some other stuff in this current agency, which is how it sort of ticks all those boxes throughout the week. Doesn't do it all in one go, which is it's very very smart how they do it. I've got 3 points which I think maybe you won't find useful, but maybe a listener or two might find useful. 3 points that I always go through when I'm in those weekly update meetings. The first one is what have I? So when I get into the meeting, I try to be the first person to talk when you're doing the rounds. I'd say like, what have I done this week? You know, I've done this 48 sheet for this client. I'm working with this with John, this social media post and this campaign. You know, I'm working on through those. And then my second sentence is what I've got to do, or what's in the pipeline. You know, I've got to do this digital campaign layout for this client, and I've got X, Y, and Z coming up. What projects is on the way, so people know that other people in the room know that they're expecting it from me. And then the third sentence is what I'm waiting for from other people, which is essentially saying what's holding me up from doing the next step, which is I'm waiting from this from the client, this bit of text, and I'm waiting for this and the logo from Philip. He has to hand me over for the end screen for this TV advert. And once you put those 3 sentences together, everyone goes, "Oh my god, you are so busy. How are you keeping up with it?" When really all I'm doing is just packaging it.
Okay. I think it's an efficient way of describing your work week.
Yeah, what I've done, what's in the pipeline, and what I'm waiting from other people.
Yeah, definitely. It's very clear as well. And if you've got project managers or whatever in that circle, then they can easily take notes and see where they can help you out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But do you ever, because you would be the creative director and the business owner and the lead driver, so you'd be I think it's called a hippo, the highest paid person in the office. Would you chair the meeting as the hippo, or would you sort of run the meetings and give everyone a chance to talk, or is it just more free flowing?
A lot of the time I'll set the tone for the meeting, but everyone, has to have an input, and you know, everyone's got different takes on things, so we have to take it all into account. And there's accounts that the guys are closer to than I am, so it makes sense for them to lead on it.
Yeah.
And there's some clients that they liaise with that I don't liaise with after the initial kind of sales and business aspect of the account. So they keep me filled in from that kind of perspective as well.
So would
Yeah,
you
it's
leave?
important. Like other people in the team lead calls frequently.
Would you then say you lead the meetings from the middle rather than from the front, where you're saying, right, you have 5 minutes to talk, and then you summarize their 5 minutes? You don't do that.
I think there's a right time to lead from the front, and I think there's a right time to lead from the middle. So if a client's unhappy, or if we have a tight deadline or something like that, then maybe that's a good time to lead from the front and set the tone and to say, okay, this bit kind of isn't completely up for debate. This is how we're going to go about tackling this problem and how we're going to work on it to get it done in time and delivered for the client. Like recently, one of our clients said to us, "Oh my God, we need all of this UI done in 10 days." So, and it's a huge project, a massive marketplace that they're working on. We had two of the guys working on the UX, and we had two of the guys kind of working on the UI already, but not at a full pace. So we've had to completely restructure um, our work schedule over the next 10 days, essentially, just to get this project done, and trying to work smarter in how we produce the UI, not designing every single screen, but designing components that we can hand over to the developer who can use that as a style guide to actually complete the rest of the development work, without having to have every screen in hand, so to speak. So yeah, lots of problem solving. So that's an example of maybe leading from the front.
Yeah. So I love working at pace when someone gives you that you've got 2 days to do this. It's I love that adrenaline rush that you have for
Yeah,
the day or
it's
two.
it's exciting, right? It takes
Yeah.
me back to when we were at university and we were like pulling all-nighters just to try and enter competitions and things like that.
Yeah, not out drinking in pulling all nighters in the studio.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned that you've had a few interns working with you over the last few months. And I think it'd be useful for some of our listeners who are just graduating, maybe, if you could go through the type of things that interns get up to at established agencies like the one that you work for.
I try to shield the interns from getting incredibly boring jobs because of their level. They're usually given that level of work or that level of brief. You're going to do a 1080 by 1080 social media post for Instagram, or that's if you're lucky. You might be given to do a 9 by 16 story for Instagram, and you have to design that post. I try to block them from that stuff and try to give them big picture briefs rather than small picture briefs, because the portfolio is not going to be amazing no matter what they're given coming out of a couple of months. So you might as well give them a learning curve and teach them a couple of things. So I would usually take briefs that we're currently working on. We've probably already signed off on the concept and we're all working on internally with the design team. But I would give that intern that brief from the very start and say, let's see what you got. Hit it full steam ahead, hit the ground running with whatever your concepts are, throw them at me. There's no bad idea. And we'll sit down, we'll go through them all and we'll refine it. And you never know, maybe you come up with an idea and we've got to inject that into our design process. Maybe that's going to be one of the outputs. We never know. And if it does, that's amazing, because then you can ride the wave. But if the design's not great, then we'll just keep pushing it and we'll keep pushing it. And then if anything, you've learned the process and what the output is rather than focusing on doing a social media post.
Okay. Essentially, you try and provide the interns with the design process and design thinking outcomes rather than just them coming in thinking, this is the asset I need to create. You're trying to get them to think further along the process and what that means to the process.
It is, because I know they're all holding out to get a job at the end of the 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever they're given. But realistically, that's the likelihood of that happening is very, very low. So once you accept that as their manager, your design manager, you're thinking, well, what can they learn, and so they can treat this as the stepping stone that it is to get them to the next stage or to get them to the next job. And that's what I really try to help them get, is don't think about this 1080 by 1080 right now. Think about being a more holistic designer.
That makes sense.
Because if your portfolio is if you just come out of an agency doing an internship and all you've done is 6 social media posts, the likelihood of you getting a job at a brand identity agency isn't going to be high. You're probably going to get a job at a PR agency or someone who focuses solely on digital marketing. And maybe that you're just being pigeonholed and you don't want to be pigeonholed at that point.
What kind of things do you think should be included in a portfolio for a designer that's looking for a junior graphic design job?
I think what I personally would be looking at is different different industries within what we do. So someone who's got a bit of website design skill, a bit of app design, a bit of social media, maybe a little bit of doing some t-shirts. There's quite a wide variety, because they're the type of people that you can help them understand the design process, because they can see it in different forms. So I prefer that sort of person, but I also love when someone is like, I'm a button designer and all I want to do is design buttons. And you're like, well, that's great. We can keep pushing that, and I can probably expand your horizons beyond buttons and bring you towards app design, being an app designer. But
do you think it's okay for all these projects to be conceptual?
Yes, they all have to be conceptual. I think so.
So when I say conceptual, I mean not for a paid client. Things that they've done in their spare time.
I think I never ask an intern or someone's portfolio and say, was this a live client? I just look at the work briefly and go, does anything catch my eye, or do I see any typography errors?
Yeah.
So I think
it's I think it's perfectly fair for somebody that's going for a junior design role to only have conceptual work in their portfolio.
Well, I think so. I think that's it. It's just trying to, if they have some posters, some billboard designs that they've got that have the Nike logo on it, I will ask them, did you do some work for Nike? Because I'm just interested, but it's not going to determine whether it's going to what decision I'm going to make at the end of the day.
It's not to catch them out, but it's an indicator to the type of brands that they want to work across as well, which could be useful for a hiring manager or a design manager.
Yeah, actually, I never thought of that. That's a very strong point. The industries that they want to work with, do they want to be more working with sustainable based companies, or do they want to be working with sports based companies? Everyone's got their own interests, and maybe
yeah, for sure.
Expand on that. It's a really good point.
Definitely.
Hi everyone, I'm Barry, the owner of the digital design agency Moken.Digital. We team up with startups, agencies and founders to design digital products and websites. If you're interested in learning more about the work we do at Moken, you can visit our website at www.moken.digital, and you can also check out our Instagram at @wearemoken.
So, Seamus, tell me, if you landed a new client and they wanted some marketing doing, but they don't have really the budget for huge ads or anything like that, and they want biggest bang for their buck, how would you advise them? What route should they take?
You have two options. You want to come up with a splash then, or some sort of guerrilla advertising type of campaign, which is a better version of standing on a street outside the underground and handing out flyers. Just something that sort of creates some hype, and newspapers start talking about it and blogs start talking about it. So it naturally just grows. But you can force that as well, quite effectively, actually really, really effectively with PR. I'm not sure what your experience is with PR, but I'll explain it. I'll just go into it because I know I talked to a few people about it who think they know what it is, but don't actually understand what is the output. So I've got a guy called Alex. He's a friend of mine he's started up an agency called Triangle PR. Give me a shout and I'll link you up with him. But he's incredibly talented. So a PR person would sit down with your client and go, what have you got coming up this month? And they're like, well, we're launching a new color of a product. Say they're a product based company. They're like, great. And he would come up with a bunch of bullet points and a couple of paragraphs explaining the brand and explaining the story and explaining the product and the color changes and all that sort of stuff, and creates a little bit of fluff around it, and then put some images into this PDF, and then he would get that approved by your client and said, are you okay with this sort of rough outline of what you're selling? And it's not perfectly written, it's just sort of more bullet point based PDF. And that would go out he would sit down once that's approved and send it out to his 2,000, 3,000 email contacts that he's got. and one of them would be the Independent, and it'd be a writer at the Independent. He'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm actually doing, I'm doing an article on cabins this month, and that's actually perfect. That lines up perfectly with my content that I need to write." And he would take those bullet points in that content you've written, and this writer would fluff it up and make it sound lovely in the creative skill that they have writing. So that PR person is like a middleman, where they say, what do you got? Okay, I'm going to give it to the people I know, and you'll end up in the Independent very naturally, and then people start talking about it.
Ah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's completely not what I expected. So it is obviously a relationship-based business with lots of contacts that they've built up over the years or whatever. Cool. And is it costly to hire a PR firm or PR
Yeah, it can be.
freelancer or?
It can be, but if it costs you, if you have a small agency and it costs say £1,000 to do and you do that every month, you have £1,000 budget and you give it to the public relations person, and they create that press release and they send it out, you could end up in the Independent or in the Guardian or on these blogs or on possibly on social media posts, if they have some influencers on their roster, and that could generate hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds worth of sales just overnight because of that feature, which is arguably worth more than digital advertising.
So it's potentially money well spent.
It's money well spent. I think it's a really, I don't want to say it's a cheat or it's easy money or a quick way to make money, but it's quicker than building a profile and a brand over a long period of time to gain people's trust. It's a good way to just put yourself naturally in their face.
Yeah, it's super interesting and organic. I think, yeah, I might consider that in the future.
Yeah, it's great. I'd recommend it to everyone. I've got them with one of my clients I had a couple of years ago. I worked with them for a couple of years, and they have 6 businesses, and they brought in my friend Alex to do one press release for one of the businesses, and within 3 months, did it 3 months in a row. Within 3 months, that business was just flying. He was getting loads of calls for bookings. So then they booked him in and says, "Look, we're going to get you to do another 3 months with us, but we want you to handle 3 of our brands." So he was doing 9 press releases over 3 months. And again, all of them just sort of snapped and did load and had a massive, great momentum, which then they had loads of people had a great boost of people on their newsletters and their database, so they can send them newsletters and make more sales throughout the next couple of months. Awesome. Did I bore the shit out of you in that one?
No, that was actually really interesting because I didn't understand myself.
Yeah. Also, I do find to get that as people think to do. Right. Questions. So we check out some community questions, Barry?
Woo,
see what people are saying.
Questions.
We've got,
Let's do it.
I picked out 6 here from a couple of people from Ron, R-O-N.
Yeah.
Ron, who else we got?
People from Oz.
Yeah, Colin, Matt, Figma,
Alice in Wonderland.
Rosie. You guys got me thinking about the design and the metaverse and what we as designers bring to the table. Do you think we'll be taking a back seat in this technological wave and have a similar role to what designers have for movies? It's Ron from Surbiton.
That's a great question for you, Seamus. Go on.
Ooh. Well, that's a good point, because if you have a designer for a movie, you're not in the driving seat. You're not the cameraman, or you're not a storyteller, or you're not a director. You're an afterthought. Do this title sequence, or if you're lucky enough, you work with Mr. Anderson and you get to do some lovely typography based stuff, or work for Harry Potter. You get to do some amazing posters. So we take a back seat in that entire industry, where the current technological wave we have is app design, which we are driving. We are creating all these apps for Uber and worrying about user experience and user interface. So I don't know. That's quite interesting. Will we be taking a back seat with this, with the metaverse, and will video design or game design people will be taking over?
I think there's a space there. There's what's probably going to happen is there's probably going to be a new industry within design. I think there's an in between where designers are scamping out virtual spaces, and there's technology that kind of allows you to dive into a 2D drawing but in a 3D kind of verse. I was looking through some on the weekend. So yeah, illustrators, designers will be able to draw out these scamps of virtual spaces, which will then be handed over to a 3D designer or however it's going to work, which will then be handed over to a developer. So I don't consider that to be taking a back seat at all, because it's still a design first approach.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about? Have you heard about Apple releasing these AR glasses, augmented reality glasses?
I've not. No, tell me more.
Do you know you have Pokemon? You get the Pokemon and you can put them on your bed, and you can.
Oh yeah.
Or you put them in a room. I think
Okay.
what I've heard is Apple are releasing, just like Google did. They're going to release a set of glasses that you can wear on your eyes, and it projects AR around you while you're walking. So these screens come up, and you can read your text messages while you're walking.
Okay, that's cool.
Isn't it cool? Yeah, and I think we
Yeah,
might,
I'd
if
like
that
to.
ends up being the driver rather than the metaverse, a virtual reality, maybe I think we might be driving that one, because that's all
Yeah.
2D based stuff while you're walking.
Cool. I like the
Interesting.
idea of it.
Ron, well done. Right. Question 2 we have, for a junior designer. Oh, nice. On topic. What's one book you'd recommend reading and why? That's from Alison in Bath.
So for UX designers, I think the go-to UX and UI designers, the go-to first book to read is Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug.
Don't
I
make
don't
me
know how
think,
to
Steve Krug. How much is it? Is it expensive?
No. You can get it pretty cheap, paperback. You can probably download it on a Kindle or something as well. But yeah, it's just the principles of UX design broken down nicely. And it's the first professional book that I read when entering the industry as well.
Good. Nice. I've got 2. Whatever You Think the Opposite by Paul Arden. I think it's like £6 on Amazon. It's one of the best books. It's slightly motivational, but you can ignore that. It's a really good pathway to get into the mindset of creative people. And then the 10 Commandments of Typography, one of the best books ever written for anyone who's a junior designer. Read it, absorb it, never forget it. And then the other side of that book is the 10 hearsay of typography. It's a great book. I think it's only like £10 as well.
Cool.
What's your favorite? Who's your favorite designer at the minute? Someone's work you just can't take your eyes off. From Colin from Belfast.
I don't have one because I'm not like on trend with that stuff. But do you have one, Seamus?
Yeah. Do you remember Kieran Riddick? The year above us in university.
Are you fanboying your mate?
Oh, he's literally incredible. he's annoyingly great. And he's the nicest guy ever, and he's freelance for any business owners. You should hit us up and I'll link you up with Kieran. But his Instagram is NiceSwan, NICESWAN. And he's one of the best designers I've came across.
Is he paying you to say this?
Yeah, pretty much. He's sponsoring the podcast. Giving me £50 a month. You don't know that?
You're taking money on the side and you're not telling me about it.
Oh, shit. What client or project would fill you full of dread? Matt from Islington. What a question.
The dread.
I think I would have to shoot myself straight in the face if I was given a brief to design those GCSE books. Do you know the AQA books where it was on chemistry or in English lit?
That's pretty fair.
Imagine giving all that text and then giving all those images and having them laid out in that
shittily
sized book with the.
You'd have to understand it all as well, wouldn't you?
Oh.
You'd have to study for your GCSEs again.
Oh, it just sort of makes me cringe. Imagine
and
that.
The last episode you told us that you didn't check the results for your degree, so I wonder if you didn't check the results for your GCSEs either.
Oh no, I had to because I was an idiot. Well, like in a art school with a C and C and a C and a C and a C. Any jobs you would hit to get, any projects?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Yeah, it's probably some educational stuff or big company that's stuck in the dark ages with bureaucracy.
Move on to the fifth question. Have you guys got a favorite keyboard shortcut for Adobe or for Figma? Rosie from Basingstoke.
I started doing some prototyping in Sketch the other day, and apparently it's as simple as selecting a layer, pressing W, and then selecting the artboard you want to link it to. I was just mind blown. So that's my favorite shortcut in Sketch at the moment.
What do you mean link it to?
Well, you literally select a layer in an artboard, press
Yeah.
W, and then you drag the arrow over to another artboard. Boom, your prototype's ready. So
as a prototyping?
Yeah, prototyping, yeah.
Oh, that's quite cool. Rather than that makes sense. Rather than going into InVision and then highlighting a space where that button would be.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. What about you?
Oh, I love Shift, Control, Option, V. I feel like Mozart when I do it.
What does that do?
On InDesign, it places something exactly where you copied it from in the same place it was. In Illustrator, it's Command F. You copy something and then you Command F and it puts it right in the same place where you copied it, put it on a different artboard. But if you use that shortcut, Shift, Option, Command V. I just do it and never look at it.
InDesign.
It'll if you have loads of artboards in Illustrator, it'll just throw it on all the artboards but in the same space.
Oh my god. I've not used InDesign since university.
Really? I haven't used InDesign in 37 minutes. How long have we been recording? 27 minutes. Right. Will we finish up there?